Spring MVC flow. Okay, how to request process and all these things we have discussed in depth in detail last video, guys. Video number 8, session number 8, we have discussed. Okay, these like this flow we discussed in more depth last video. Here one time I am revising for you guys. One time I am revising for you guys, so we get clarity. If you missed the last session, please go and watch the last session in a YouTube active study environment. The channel link. So one playlist is there, Spring MVC, so you can go and watch this video. So now this is the explanation how to track the request and dispatcher alert, how all this in process in the dispatcher alert. Dispatcher alert is the like a hero in our Spring MVC pictures. Okay. So now diagram explanation is there. I have wrote some points. These points I have wrote in in last sessions, weekly sessions. Okay. So please watch this video and last videos and these videos also, so we will give clarity. So one time I'm revising for you. Okay. So now first point is when we start a server. When we start a server, then server will do three things. What are the three things? Container will recognize all web application which are existed under the web folder. All the web applications which are existed in the web inside web app folder, it will recognize. Okay, and then deploy all web application under the server space. Okay, after that it will create solid context object for the each and every web application. Servlet context is the one per application. Servlet context is the one per application, like the servlet metadata kind of thing. Okay. So now second thing, while developing web application, after developing web application, container performs some operation called first recognize web.xml file under the web folder. Here container will recognize web.xml file under the web folder. Okay, web folder. After that, it's loading the file, loading and parsing the file and reading the data from which web.xml file. While parsing web.xml file, container identify the load on startup configuration. Container in this web.xml file, container when identify the load and startup. If in your system, in your web.xml file, load and startup configuration are there, then load and startup perform some operations automatically. Okay. Okay. So now load and startup configuration will start. Dispatcher servlet. Load and startup responsibility is to search the dispatcher servlet classes folder. If it existed, if like dispatcher servlet existed in the like container, will search and dispatcher under web.xml library folder. Okay. When dispatcher serv- when dispatcher servlet identifies, then container will perform dispatcher servlet loading, instantiation, and initialization. Initialization at the time at the of server startup, where at the server startup or at the new application deployment. Number three, dispatcher servlet initialization. Dispatcher servlet initialization. Then perform dispatcher servlet initialization here. You are at it. Dispatcher alert initialization, web application context loading, web application context initialization, web instantiation initialization. These perform under the third step. Dispatcher alert recognize web application context implementation classes underperform the web application loading, instantiation, and initialization. As part of the web application initialization, web application context will recognize a Spring configuration file under the web INF folder. This will recognize the Spring configuration file under the web.xml file. What is the Spring configuration file, guys? Anyone know? Okay. String configuration file, reading the content into the configuration object. After getting all the configuration detail for the Spring configuration file into configuration object. Okay. Web application context container will create object which we configured under the Spring configuration file. Which one is created object? Web application context is create the object inside the present in the Spring configuration file. After getting all bean object, web application context will create a Spring framework object like handler mapping, handler adapter, view resolver, etc. Okay. When we submit, next point is when we submit the request from client to server, then protocol will take. And this is the part up to that, this part is completed. Handle mapping, these things is completed to create it. Okay. The next thing is when the submit the request, yeah, when submit the request to the server, some head and metadata head and body part will be created. Our protocol will take the request and perform the following action. What is the action? Protocol will establish the connection between protocol is the responsible person to establish the connection between client and server on the basis of the server IP address and the port number. On the basis of the IP address and server port and some internal points of a protocol will create request format contains header and body part. Request format contains two things. What is the header and body parts? Where the header part is able to manage the client metadata and body part is manage the request parameters data which UI provided by the user at the client browser. Okay, protocol here. The protocol will carry the request format to server where server will format request to forward request to web container here. Forward forward request to web container. That's it. Okay, this will happen only by using the protocol. Number five steps is when the request is coming to the container after that sending container, then the web container will take URL pattern. Web container will take URL pattern value from the request format and contain is try to compare the URL pattern of the dispatcher subnet which we configured, in web.xml file, where if the URL pattern is matched with the dispatcher alert URL pattern, then the container will forward the dispatcher alert. Okay, guys. So when now after that, six steps is when the request is coming to the dispatcher alert, then dispatcher alert will perform the following action. In the request, then this is the important point. Dispatcher alert operation. Dispatcher alert operation perform it's a given number of operations in the perform dispatcher by the dispatcher sublet. Dispatcher sublet kept all the framework object like handler, mapping, handler, adapter, view, resolver, etc. Request is in the which request scope where is kept the all object in the request scope. This is the important. Remember, don't forget this point, guys. Request scope where this patch select kept all the request in the request scope to make available to the handler and viewport. Why? To make available in the I will use in the future very frequently the request scope, guys. When I will use more or like handler methods. Okay. Dispatchers already interact with handler mapping object to get handler mapping to get the handler or controller object by executing get handler method. What is the which method is executing internally? Get handler method. When now next point is when dispatcher sublet call the get handler method. automatically it's not a programmer had to call get handler method. Dispatcher solid is the responsible to call the get handler method. To get handler method on the handling mapping object, handler mapping, handler mapping will identify the respective handler object. Which one? Specify the handler object and its configuration, interceptors. Then handler mapping will arrange all the interceptors before handler and return handler execution chain. Which one is returning? Handler execution chain object, which contain the object and set of interceptors. Okay. Now, fourth step is after getting handler execution chain object, dispatcher servlet will use has as a nothing but a handler adapter object and access to handler by using handler method. Handle method. Which one? Which method? By using handler method. Handle method. So where handler adapter will execute all the interceptors in order to perform pre-processing activities. What is that? Pre-processing activities by calling pre-handler method. After executing all interceptors, handler method will access business logic first here. This is the all interceptors. After executing this are all interceptor authentication, authorization, neutralization. Here is there, okay. Here all these things are there. So after executing this, then controller method is executed. Okay. After handle method, business logic will be included. The handle method. After execution of business logic in handler class, handler will model and view object with return model and view object to handler adapter by executing all interceptors in reverse order. To provide post-processing activities by executing, this is the post-processing activities like wow, return back kind of thing. Post handler path, where handler adapter will send the received model and view object to the dispatcher solid. After getting a model and view object, dispatcher solid will interact with view resolver in order to identify view GSP page URL on the basis of view name. When view is identified in web app, the dispatcher server will execute the corresponding view pages by getting data from model part, and dispatcher server will prepare response for the query. So all these things here only depends on the dispatcher server. Here is this picture in Spring MVC picture is hero. Who is the hero? Dispatcher server. If you want to go anywhere, you should pass the dispatcher server. This is the way. Yes. Okay. So now in this video, I will show you steps to prepare a Spring MVC application. Step by step, I will show you. So prepare a Spring MVC application. Okay. I've shown some example. I have already discussed some example. Why the example I had discussed with you in last sessions? Why? Because related with I will prepare same example one more time, but step by step I will write all the steps. Why? Because this I want to relate with that Spring MVC Pro. That's why I prepare these examples. So now next is that creating dynamic web project. Project 3, simple Spring MVC, Team MVC. Suppose Bish app. Again, we will prepare one Bish app. Bish app. Again, I will prepare one Bish app, guys. Okay. So now next generator dot descriptor. If you click on this button, then you will get advertisable. So this is the total part I will write it. Okay, here steps to prepare. Steps to prepare screen MVC. Think MVC. First I will write the number, second I will delete. Okay. First point is oh, first point is first point is what is the first point is create dynamic make that project with all string jar files. Okay. So here we created one dynamic web project, but here you should import all the string related jars. So how in previous session of there in jar, we kept all jars in the lib folder here inside the lib. Inside the lib, you should create one control C. Just copy the lib folder. If you lib folder, copy with copy the lib folder, guys. Very simple steps are here. Inside the lib folder is already there, so not required to copy lib. So copy the jar. That's it. Hold the control and select all jar. And these jars are required only for that simple Spring MVC. Then I will use like Spring JDBC, Spring MVC, Spring JPA, Spring Data API. Will relate with them. Don't worry. Okay, in future, guys. Control you first. Pasted here. Now close all. Not required this. Now second point is create user form as per create user form as per the requirement. As per the requirement. Create user form as per the requirement. Which user required, which client you want, which client want to prepare, like if the client wants like prepare a login form, then we prepare a login form, prepare a registration form, prepare a registration form. And after that, here I will simple print up a simple message to the user. Okay. It's not required. Number three, step is third. Create here, create controller, controller classes, controller classes and controller classes as per the requirement. As per the requirement, how many controller you want, then create it. Number four. Suppose there, I mean, want to create here Inside that, you can create one file called, suppose I want to create one file here. What is that file? And suppose this.jsp. I want to create one this.jsp into the web.xml file. And simply pass, nothing is, you can pass one thing. What is that? Just print this message from the controllers. So, else, EL is really ignored form. This is the one JSP file. Here you can create form also. Okay. After this, you can create. After this, I will give the idea about what I will create. Fourth point is, what the steps is, what the steps is, create string, create a string configuration file. If you don't know what is the string configuration file, then go the last video. Don't I will not repeat again and again. Please watch the last videos. Please. And next is create web.xml file with the as a servlet configuration. Servlet configuration that is as a servlet configuration. Configuration. These 5 steps are there, guys. So we can create like Spring MVC application. Now our idea is simple. This is nothing but this is the browser window. Here I will put one URL. Here I will type an URL like suppose slash like v shape slash give the one URL wish.ts wish.ts. I'll give one URL. I will give one URL path to the browser. Then browser will search dispatcher servlet. This is nothing but a dispatcher servlet, guys. Dispatcher servlet. Then and request come to dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. No, dispatcher servlet finds. Dispatcher servlet find the what is that? Mapping class. Mapping class. Which controller you want? Which controller you want to inject? Which controller? So it's find the what is that? Controller. Controller is nothing but a mapping file. So I will use bean name URL. Bean name. Simple you want your choice. Bean name URL. Bean name URL. Handler mapping. Handler mapping class. I will use. So here I provide the handle mapping configuration. Here I will provide the handle mapping configuration. Then this will return. Okay. Take the request and this will return the what is that this.ds. This.ds. This return here is configuration is there like controller configuration like out there here. Okay. So it's the return to the dispatcher servlet. Return the dispatcher servlet as a DS is there. Return to the dispatcher servlet. After that, dispatcher servlet return to the controller name and like location of the controllers. Okay. Epic files. Then it will search the controller where the controller is existed. There is the controller. This controller over there. This is the which controller are there. Inside the one handler method are there. Processing this controller there. Then handler method is there. And handler method will execute. After the handler method execution, then it return. after the handle method execution, it's return to, it return to that, it return to, what is it? Model and view object. It's return model and view object. It is return model and MO object. It's called model and view MOV. It return MO object. So here we will get one object. In the dispatches the letter receives one object. And the object, what is that object? Wish object. Wish model and view object. And the model and view like message like suppose any message of question mark. Suppose message is there along with this object. Okay. After that, it will search one. It will search view resolver. It will search the view resolver where the view resolvers are there. Okay. Now view resolver is there like that. I will use internal resource view resolver. Internal view resolver having what is the things? What is the things? Like prefix having like slash, double hyphen, web hyphen, in slash. Okay, and suffix. The fix is having dot JSP. When it will return these things. Okay, after this return, web hyphen, in slash, wish dot JSP. It's return this object. View result will return not get this object to the this object to the resolver guys. So now here, now after the returning this object, then it will search, then it will search the this.jsp page, this.jsp page. What is that? This.jsp, then print this.jsp here. And so this.jsp, then here some request to this on back. So now here, then this return the view object, total view object, then it will return to the browser. Then it return to the browser. So now steps I will write step first. Chain first. First, second search, third. The processing the request and creating does do style kind of thing. DS. And it have fourth. After fourth, fifth steps are there. After that, model and view object. Eight steps. Here is the same on the steps of that. This is the eighth steps. So we will prepare this example. We prepare this example. We should be simple prepared one. Same example. We already prepared this example, but not given this idea to you guys. That time first I will trying to give idea. This is our application idea. So now here we prepare the one application. This.jsp is ready. So now I'll prepare one controller SRC inside that. Create one folder under that. Package first create package form.itsp.controller. Create controller Okay. Here, create one class. Suppose create one class controller. Suppose wish controller. Here you can override any method if you want. Right now, I'm overriding one method. Implementing, suppose implementing one controller method. Controller method is the not there. Right? Controller, not controller, not there. So you cannot issue. Just the okay, finish. Okay, here, here. Just try to implement the controller. Implement controller, the predefined class. The controller cannot resolve by type. Why? I don't get. Okay, maybe it's removing. I think the last example are there or not. Let's convert. Yeah, controller is there, but what is the name of the controller? Okay, this package. I think so. Some libraries are not there. So copy these libraries in this library. I want these libraries. Okay. No, I use simple use map and Gretel. Okay, in future I will use map and Gretel. This is the old approach, not required. Okay, leave and leave. Okay, delete. I because that's why it's not finding. Deleted inside this. Okay, okay. Now it's come. Okay, come here. Control Shift O. Wait, let me do. Okay, come on. Okay. So implement one method which is present inside the controller. What is the method? Handler request. Handle request. Handle request method is there. So this is the returning what is the model and view object. Simple here type model and view object return. Not required to create model, new model and view. Ask that here simple. Wish. This is the name of the logical link base. This is the message. I will use this name inside the GSP folder, GSP file. So what is that? This is first studying application. Okay. Now here, just it's okay, nothing. Okay, just here you can just put that H1 inside the H1, inside the H1 tag style. If you want to give a specific style, color, column, header, and colon, semicolon, and text, text align center. That's it. Here you can print like here dollar. This is the JSP. What is the MVC? Okay. Here you can take break. Then okay. Now this is created. Now next point is here. Here is our form requirement is from a controller is ready. Configuration is required. What is that? To create configuration file. So we have the create configuration in the web action folder. What is the file name is? Other create XML next dispatcher server dispatcher servlet dot XML create. Dispatcher is the military. Okay. So copy this. You can use anything. If you don't know how to get the XSD for Bosch last video, we'll get it clarity. So copy the XSD in the documentation. XSD are there. So go and go the last video so we'll get clarity. In the dispatcher select, paste it. And here you provide the configuration, all configuration file. Okay. Here you can provide the configuration. After that configuration, I will create web.xml file with the XML configuration. Now provide the first of all provide here v v inside the v name equals to what is the slash wish.ds. This is the URL pattern which I provide inside the web.xml file. To class, configure the class. Which class? Form.itsp.controller.controller.wish controller. And next thing, provide the v name like handler mapping. v name equals to what is the handler mapping. This is the property name which is existed inside the. This is the predefined properties which is existed inside the internal v name URL handler mapping. So what is that name of the class? Okay. If you don't know, just go inside that and search what is that internal internal resource view resolver, not a view resolver. Okay, v name mapping, not a, right now I don't know view resolver. Internal v v name v name URL mapping. This one not required v name URL. I want. Okay, copy this, relax, remove this, and this one is also at further I believe. Go into the dispatcher service. Yes, that's it. Then here, the next configuration is required. What is the configuration? Next configuration is internal view resolver configuration. So I will use internal resource view resolver. What is that? Being name name is property is view resolver. View resolver properties are there. View resolver properties there. The class equals to what the class here go inside this. This is the class internal view resource resolves. And I will use command and just paste. That's it. So now rename equals to equals to that's it. Now second thing is here provide the suffix and prefix kind of thing. Okay. Okay. Here provide property name is prefix when the value equals to slash web hyphen inf. If you want, you can put any pages also. Should I will show you how to prepare the pages. Property name equals to suffix value equals to dot JSP. That's it. Now our string configuration file is ready. String configuration is nothing but a dispatcher servlet. Okay. So now come here, web.xml file. Inside the web.xml, provide the configuration about the what dispatcher servlet. So what time is servlet. Inside the servlet file, servlet name, servlet name. Inside the servlet name, what is the name? Dispatcher. This this name should match with the prefix of the your configuration file. So our configuration file is the dispatcher. Okay. Now next is pass here servlet class. What is the servlet class? Is org dot spring framework work dot web dot servlet dot dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. So here we can pass the load and startup configuration. So do load and startup. And this should be work negative. The next is servlet mapping. Servlet mapping. Pass the servlet mapping. So here pass the servlet name. What the name of dispatcher? Logical name. Dispatcher. Dispatcher. Pass the URL pattern. URL pattern. What is that URL pattern is? E star.ds. Star.ds. I want to pass the star.ds because in the dispatcher subnet in the dispatcher subnet web.xml file, what happened? Oh, no, it's taking time. Okay, wait. Okay. Now why I put the DS? Why? Because here I provide the DS. That's why I provide that. I will put the URL. So now the application is ready for the execution. Try to run. Okay, run. Let next remove all. Finish. Okay. Let's try. Let's try this. We will get output amount. This is our first example. Next, I will show you 2 or 3 examples frequently in the next sessions. Okay. This is our first example. Now theory part is our completed. Now practical is going on only. Practical is going on in the next 2 to 5 sessions. So here you can pause wish.ds. Now we'll get the exception. What is the exception? Okay. Dispatcher. Okay. Better to read the this exception. Okay. IT class not found action. This controller. Okay. Controller class is not finding. Okay. Now ITSP com.itsp go to controller dot hello path hello one minute. Here this controller com dot com instead of com pass com. Okay. Try to run this example one more time in existing server. Run next and finish. Okay. Generating ID, generating dispatcher. Yes, millisecond is going on. Let's see. Wish.ds. Yeah, again it's getting error. What is that error? No writable property invalid. Okay. Some mistake, spelling mistakes. Web.xml file now. Then this person. So fix. Right, correct property na. Fix double miss there. Let's try. Come here. Replace this. Exception of let's see. Wait, output or not. Let's try. Wait. Then one more time, guys. We are just okay. Now this is the first Spring application. So we will get output. Okay. I will share the directory structure bundle. This jar file sounds. Okay. Thank you. We will meet next session. And more examples. Next session, I will use one form based example.